We will make America safe again. And we will make America great again.
We Democrats and we independents who have the same view have to choose hope over fear, unity over division, and maybe most importantly, truth over lies.
So the US elections are upon us. Once every 4 years, Americans will cast their ballot to choose their new president. This year, the election falls on the 3rd of November, and the choice before millions of Americans is between Donald Trump, the incumbent president, and his Democrat challenger, Joe Biden.
Why would you answer that
because
question?
the question is,
radical left.
Will you shut up, man?
Listen, who is on your list, Joe? Who's on your list?
Right, gentlemen, I think
this
we've
is
ended
so
this.
He's going to pack the court.
We have
not going to give a list.
We have ended this segment. We're going to move on to the second segment.
That was really a productive segment, wasn't it? Keep yapping, man.
The people understand, Joe.
They sure
47 years you've done nothing. They understand.
All right.
How does this process work? The process of choosing an American president. There are two parts to it. One is called the popular vote, where Americans across the 50 states of the United States will go to the polling booths and cast their ballot to choose their next president. Whoever wins the maximum number of votes wins what is called the popular vote. But does that person automatically become the president? No, as was seen in 2016 most infamously, and also in the year 2000. In 2016, Hillary Clinton won almost 3 million votes more than Donald Trump, but it's Donald Trump who won the presidency.
This is not the outcome we wanted or we worked so hard for, and I'm sorry that we did not win this election for the values we share and the vision we hold for our country.
Similarly, in 2000, it was Al Gore who won the popular vote, but it was George Bush who became president. And that's because American presidents are chosen by what's called the Electoral College system. All 50 states of the US have electors assigned as per the population of that state. For example, California, the biggest state, has 55 Electoral College votes. New York, another big state, has 29 Electoral College votes. Whoever wins 270 or more Electoral College votes out of a total of 538 then becomes the United States president. So, how does the Electoral College work? Barring a few, but in most of these states, whoever wins the popular vote carries the number of electors in that state. So, for example, if Joe Biden were to win California, he will get all 55 state electors from the state of California. And then his tally adds up. Eventually, one of these two men, either Donald Trump or Joe Biden, will have to go past the magic figure of 270. Once all the votes are cast, that's on election day, the counting begins, and on election night, most media organizations, channels like CNN, for example, make what is called projections. Now, these projections are based on the number of votes counted, as well as historically where a particular precinct or where a particular county, which way it has voted. Now, interestingly, the states themselves are divided into multiple categories. There are red states, blue states, and of course, what are called swing states. Red states are states that have traditionally always been Republican, like Texas, Louisiana, Kentucky. And then you have blue states like New York and California, which are traditionally always Democrat. But the most important states in any US election are the so-called swing states. There are about 10 odd states which are extremely important because anybody who becomes president or hopes to become president has to eventually carry a majority of these swing states. So what are these swing states? Ohio, Florida, Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania, North Carolina, Virginia. Whoever wins a majority of these swing states has a decisive edge in winning the Electoral College. So how did Donald Trump beat Hillary Clinton despite the fact that Clinton had almost 3 million more votes nationally, coast to coast in the US? That's because he won a majority of these swing states. He won Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania, Ohio, and Florida. This time around, it's Joe Biden who's leading most of the polls in these battleground states, but it just takes a few thousand votes, it just takes a few thousand ardent supporters from the other side to show up in more numbers than the other side. Therefore, this election can be extremely close. So Trump is throwing all his weight, all his money behind those 10-odd battleground states, while Joe Biden is confident that he can retain not just the battleground states, but also the traditional Democrat-leaning states and possibly make inroads in states like Georgia, in states like Arizona, which have traditionally always been Republican states. The Democrats this time are hoping to win those states as well. So it's not just the US president's election that's at stake this time around. US voters will also be choosing the 400-member odd Congress, the House of Representatives. In some states, they will also be choosing senators. And in some states, they will also be choosing their governors who rule their particular states. Sometimes on the ballot paper, it can just be elections to individual posts, or sometimes there can be issues also. For example, in some states, there could be a vote on legalizing marijuana. In some other states, there could be a vote on anti-abortion laws. So when a US voter votes in the ballot paper, depending on where he or she votes, there can be any number of options to choose from, not just voting for president, but also, like I said, voting for congressmen and women, voting for senators, and voting on issues as well. This election is going to be extremely different because of the coronavirus, and therefore a lot of people wanting to vote by mail or mail-in voting as opposed to in-person voting. Now, there is a huge controversy around that, which we'll talk about in our next video.